So the first thing I'm going to share with you guys on transcript release forms is where to find them. So we always keep copies. They're hot pink of the transcript release form in the counseling office in the tower next to Mrs. Naylor's desk. You can get a copy of the transcript release form there. You can also go to the Milford High School counseling site, college application resources, college application handouts, and you can print the release form here. You can find it if you go to Schoology and you go to your group page, resources, college applications, transcript release form, 2021. And then you'll be able to print out and turn that in. So the final step of college applications is going to be the transcript release form. So the transcript release form is what you will submit to Mrs. Naylor in order to get your transcript sent off to the schools. So you will need a physical copy of this if you're a Milford High School student attending Milford High School. You will need a physical copy of this. You will turn it in to Mrs. Naylor. You will need one copy for each school. So if you're applying to 5 schools, you'll need 5 copies. You're going to turn it in to Mrs. Naylor and actually physically hand it to her. Do not put on her desk or in her bin. Make sure that you're physically handing it to her. She's going to double check that you have taken all the steps that you need to. So she'll double check that your letters are sent. She's going to double check that your Common App and Naviance are matched. She's going to double check that you've submitted your application, and then she's going to stamp it, and then she's going to go ahead and process that. Please remember that we have over 500 students in the senior class, so we are dealing with a lot of transcript request forms. Even if everyone was only applying to the average of 3 schools, that's almost 1,500. It's almost 1,500 request forms. So Mrs. Naylor is dealing with a lot of papers. That's part of why we ask you to make sure that your application is submitted ahead of time, because when you submit your application on Common App, you're going to get a bunch of confetti, and then you're going to get an email from the college that asks you to create an account with them. And in that account, you're going to be able to check and see what materials have arrived. So you can check and see if your letters of recommendation have arrived. You can check and make sure that your application was submitted without any issues. You can also check to see when your transcript arrives and test scores and all of that fun stuff. So if you have that account open and you're able to check those things, you will be able to tell when your transcript has been successfully submitted. So we usually say, double check that within the next 10 days to make sure that it got there okay. A couple of important things. I've talked a lot about the application materials, and I focus primarily on the letters of recommendation and transcript request forms. And that's because those are the 2 things that's handled by Milford. But other supplemental materials that you might have to send are your test scores. And if you're doing that, those official test scores need to be sent directly from the test company. So you'll have to log in to ACT or College Board and send directly from them. Some other materials that might come up are counselor forms. If your application says you need it, you just need to let us know on this transcript release form that you need a counselor form, and your counselor will complete that. And typically that's all that's going to be supplemental, unless you're doing like a portfolio or something. But if you're doing a portfolio, typically you will upload that directly to the college. So that's the big thing about transcript release forms. I'm just going to run down real quick. 1, you need 1 copy for every school you're attending. 2, you will need to physically hand them to Mrs. Naylor. Hand her a physical copy so that way she can double check your application's materials are ready. 3, if you are at the Oaks or you're at Milford Academy, you can submit your transcript release form by email to Mrs. Naylor in the counseling office. And 4, if you have other supplemental materials to send, we can send usually everything except for test scores. Those need to come directly from the test companies.